Hello and welcome to Numeril. I'm your host, Damon the Real Nailer. We truly thank you for tuning in. We're so excited because we have a great episode in store for you. It's entitled Eight Kings, the Beast, and 10 Kings. It's authored and presented by Damon the Real Nailer. Yours truly, copyright 2021. The objectives: we're going to outline the eight kings and kingdoms mentioned in the book of Revelation. We're going to determine exactly from where the beast or final world dictator will emerge. And we're going to analyze scriptures from the Book of Enoch, which is a book from the Apocrypha that shed light on the 10 kings, the beast, and other components of end time prophecy. The eight kings. The kings. Revelation 17, verses 10 through 11 states, and there are seven kings, five are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. This is a mystery, and we're going to break it down. Here's the outline of the eight kings. The first one was Sennacherib with Assyria. Then there was Nebuchadnezzar with Babylon. Then there was Darius with Media, Cyrus with Persia, Alexander with Grecia or Greece, Domitian with Rome. The seventh one, we don't know this person's identity quite yet. And the eighth is going to be the beast or final world dictator. Some of the kingdoms have affected Israel in the past, while others will affect Israel in the future. You will see that Pharaoh of Egypt is not included. Some people include Pharaoh and Egypt in their outline. Here's why. First, Israel did not become a formal nation while in Egypt. Neither did it become one during the 40 years in the wilderness. The group of people formalized into an actual nation when they reached the promised land, subdued the 31 kingdoms, and then instituted the commands, statutes, and ordinances that were initially issued to them in the wilderness. Another reason Pharaoh in Egypt isn't in the outline is because Jeremiah 50 and 17 reads, Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria, which was Sennacherib, had devoured him. And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had broken his bones. At the time of Jeremiah's prophecy, these were the only two kingdoms that had interfered with the formal nation of Israel and not just the scattered descendants of Jacob. This accurately fits the outline. The one that is, during John's time, was Domitian, who was a Roman ruler and made the sixth king. The one is not yet come is going to be the seventh king or ruler who will only continue a short space, as stated in Revelation 17 and 10 and Daniel 11 and 20. As we have shown before, the final 10 king coalition have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour or for a short season with the beast. The eighth ruler is the beast or final world dictator. And Revelation says he is the beast that was, which represents past, and is not, represents the present time of John, and yet is also representing the present time of John, existing but not in authority, which is speaking of the devil or evil spirit that will possess and influence the final world dictator. And he is of the seven, which means he is also part of the satanic system that has been in existence for quite some time, whereas Satan ruled the world through a certain leader, those one world systems. The beast and 10 kings. Where will the beast come from? The beast is the title given to the final world dictator who will be a political and militaristic leader who will lead a 10-king coalition which will control the world and harm God's people. He originates from one of the four divisions of Alexander the Great's empire, which was Grecia or Greece. Daniel 8 and 8 says, Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones towards the four winds of heaven. In essence, the generals would divide up Alexander the Great's empire in the directions of north, south, east, and west. Daniel 8, 21 and 22, and a rough goat is the king of Grecia, which is Alexander the Great, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, which is Alexander the Great. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. So when people try to say, well, the next U.S. president, could he be the last dictator? Is he the final one world ruler? No, he's not going to be a U.S. president. You can get that out of your head, okay? because it's going to originate from one of these four divisions of Alexander the Great's empire. The beast. After Alexander the Great's death, his kingdom was divided up among his four generals. Below is the breakdown. Seleucus I, Nicator, got Persia, which is the current day Iran, Iraq, the Levant, which consists of Cyprus, Israel, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, then Mesopotamia, Kuwait, what is now Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, and northwest parts of India. Ptolemy I, Soter, he got the southwest portion, which represents Egypt, Libya, and Nubia, or northern Sudan and southern Egypt. Lysimachus, he got the northeast portion, which represents Thrace, which is southeastern Bulgaria, northwest Greece, and the European part of Turkey, and then Asia Minor, which is also Turkey. And then Cassander got the northwest portion, which is northwest Macedonia and Greece. By using deductive reasoning and analyzation, one would arrive at the conclusion that the first division, which constitutes Seleucus I Nicator's area, will be the most likely from where the final dictator will arise. However, there's actual holy text that confirms the location with pinpoint accuracy. In essence, if we looked at it and tried to break it down, that southeast portion will make the most sense. And we know that the beast is going to come from the east. And therefore, that first division, which is Seleucus I Nicator's area, would be the area that we would think. And I'll give you a hint, it is. And so now it's time to find out exactly and specifically where he's going to come from. Below are scriptures from the Book of Enoch, the second parable, chapter 56. We're going to look at verses 5 through 7. And here it's going to get very interesting because we're going to align the scriptures from this book, which is one of the apocryphal books, with our canon text and show how everything fits perfectly. Verse 5, in those days the angels shall return and hurl themselves to the east upon the Parthians and Medes. Who are the Parthians and Medes? They're the Iranians or the Persians, old Persia. So this one you think of the Prince of Persia, which is Iran, from the book of Daniel. When we think of the beast that was, is not, and yet is, we're talking about that spirit, that angel, that fallen angel that ruled in the past in that one world system. So, like I say, he represented the past at the time of John. He was existing, but not in power and authority. So he's going to regain his authority and power in the end, and he's going to use the Iranian leader. So the final world dictator will come from Iran. Let it be known. It's the truth. Here are the facts. All right, so we want to compare this with Daniel 2 and 43. And whereas thou sawest iron, the angels mixed with miry clay, which represent humans, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So the Bible talks about, when it talks about cleaving, it says man shall cleave, or leave his father and mother, and cleave unto his wife. Cleave means to attach, connect, become one, and have sexual intercourse, or become that one flesh. Angels won't be able to procreate with humans as they did in the days of old, when they took upon themselves bodies and impregnated the women. And that's why here it's talking about they're going to mingle with the seeds of men, but they're not going to cleave, because in the days of old, they took on those bodies. And remember, they came into the daughters of men, and they made the giants or the Nephilims. And God, once he destroyed the earth, he didn't allow them to do that anymore. So instead of them getting inside or connecting with man physically, they're going to possess him spiritually or just control them. They shall stir up the kings, and we're referring to, the day is referring to those angels, those fallen angels, so that a spirit of unrest shall come upon them, and they shall rouse them from their thrones, that they may break forth as lions from their lairs, and as hungry wolves among their flocks. The 10 kings and a final dictator is who it's talking about when it refers to the kings. Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood up on the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So this spirit of unrest is none other than the spirit of the Antichrist, and that blasphemous spirit that comes against Christ, comes against God and the things of God. That is the spirit of unrest that the angels are going to put on these 10 kings. Okay, verse 6, and they shall go up and tread underfoot the land of his elect ones. Wow, this is so powerful because it aligns with Revelation 11 and 2. But the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. Wow, look at that alignment there. The apocryphal scripture and our canon scripture talking about the Gentiles treading underfoot the land of the elect ones. Remember, this the 10 kings coming from the east who were stirred up by the fallen angels, and the land of his elect ones shall be before them a threshing floor and a highway. Verse 7, but the city of my righteous, which is Jerusalem, shall be a hindrance to their horses. Revelation 14 and 20, and the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. This is detailing the battle of Armageddon. As we see here, the horses won't be able to get inside the city. Therefore, there's going to be a huge slaughter of men without the city. My. And they shall begin to fight among themselves, and their right hand shall be strong against themselves, and a man shall not know his brother, nor his son his father, or his mother, till there be no number of the corpses through their slaughter, and their punishment be not in vain. This fits perfectly with Zechariah 14, verses 12 through 13. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand up on their feet. Their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. And they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. So we see here that there's a connection out of people going to basically turn on themselves and fight and kill one another. We see it in the scripture that's from the Apocrypha, and we see it in our canon scriptures. Man. My. This is so powerful. And so we are showing you and giving you specific details that sometimes might not be in our canon scriptures, but the Apocrypha scriptures have them. And from this, we see that the final world dictator is going to come from Iran. Now, will he be the supreme leader or the president? I don't know. But according to the scripture, what we just read and proved, he's going to come from Iran. Therefore, you don't have to wonder, worry, be confused. The scripture plainly tells us and reveals it. We truly thank you for tuning in. We hope that you've received some truth and some accuracy and insight. Continue to spread the word. Hit that subscribe button. And we look forward to seeing you next time. We have much more to talk about with the beast and the kings and the false prophet in the next session. So tune in. God bless.